We are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast, to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into episode number 14 of season 2, I want to let you guys know about a few things. If you are new to the channel and not so much into long form content, you like taking in reels or clips, make sure to follow us on Instagram or subscribe to our YouTube channel, because each and every day we are posting clips to our Instagram and to our YouTube channel that are usually around 50 seconds long, 40 seconds, where you can get the gist and the highlights of a lot of these episodes. So make sure to like our reels and our clips if you're not as so much into long form content. Also, if you are completely new to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on the post notifications button. The post notifications button looks like a bell on our YouTube profile. That will help you stay in the know with everything going on with the Detroit Pistons and your favorite Pistons podcast, Revved Up 906. In today's episode, you're going to see Ryan wear a Revved Up hat. You're going to see me wear a Revved Up jersey, number 88, my old football number. These are provided by Grind Clothing Co. So click on the link in our YouTube bio or in the description below, and that link will shoot you right to Grind Clothing Co.'s website, where you can check out a plethora of different designs that we have created alongside Grind Clothing Co. So also make sure to go follow them on Instagram, because almost each and every month, Grind Clothing Co. posts new designs and new drops, and they have a bunch of different designs for everybody's style. So make sure to go check out Grind Clothing Co.'s merch drops. Without further ado, let's get into episode number 14 of season 2. This week's topic is, what is the keys to success for Ausar Thompson? Because we're around 43 games into Ausar Thompson's rookie year, and right now he's averaging 8 points, 23 minutes a game, nearly 7 rebounds, which is one of the more impressive stats, and then nearly 3 assists, and he's played 43 games. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because, not that Ausar's underperforming, I don't think that's the right way to put it, but I don't know if we have been utilizing him the way we should. And so I kind of want to take some time for me and Ryan to talk about what it'll look like to set Ausar Thompson up for success on this Detroit Pistons team, because we know that we spent a 5th pick on this guy, and we don't want him to just slowly fall away like a Sekou Demboya or a Brandon Knight or a Stanley Johnson in years back. We want Ausar Thompson to have success on this Pistons team, and we want his play to lead to wins. So Ryan, when talking about what are some of the keys to success for Ausar Thompson, what are some of your first initial thoughts?
So first of all, my thing on him, because he's been playing good basketball at times. He's not like Bagley, and this is one of my big reasons as to why he's traded away, is he's inconsistent with his production. There's nights out there where he's amazing, he fills up the box score, and then there's other nights where it's a big gigantic goose egg and there's like nothing to be seen or heard from. But Ausar Thompson is different in that sense. He doesn't need to have like 20 points to be effective. He doesn't even need to have at least 10 points to be effective. He affects the game in many different ways, and it's not just one. As Monty Williams has said, Troy Weaver has said, and many others, he is a utility player. That's what he is. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and give you 20 every night. He's not going to be a guy that gives you 15 assists every night. He's going to do work in certain ways to help the team out and benefit them the most. And so with his play thus far, in the average of 8 points a game, you saw recently against the Bucks, gives you 22 points, 9 boards. Against the Wizards, gave you 14 points, around 8 rebounds a game. So that's not bad play out of him. I would gladly take that over other versions of him sometimes. But he is one of those players where he's inconsistent and he's consistent, and it just depends who the matchup is, and it really depends on the rotation, on who else is out there on the court for him to have success.
Yeah, and for me, it's not all criticism to Monty Williams. That's not the way I want to come off when talking about how he's dealt with Ausar Thompson. One of the biggest things, though, that I need to address is we saw in the month of the late November to most of December, Ausar Thompson not really get the minutes that we suspected. And right now he's averaging 23. But there was a couple games in the month of December where he was getting 10, 12, 5. It was very minimal. And we're like, what is Ausar Thompson doing getting these little of minutes? So when Ausar Thompson's averaging 23, that's where I want to see him at. I like that. I want him to at least hit 23. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, a factor is he fouls a lot, so then Monty can't give him a lot of minutes. I get it, but also rookies have to work through those struggles of learning how to defend in the NBA. And with Ausar Thompson being a go-to defender for the Pistons, I think he's just going to have to work through those. If I'm Monty and he racks up 3 in the first quarter, I'm going to let him finish out his regular minutes because he needs to learn it the tough way. Know that I racked up all these fouls in the first half. Now I don't get to play in the second. I think he needs to learn those tough lessons. But when talking about a key of success for Ausar, I want to talk about fast break offense. Because when you look at the time that Ausar Thompson played with his brother Amen Thompson on the City Reapers of the Overtime Elite League, a lot of Ausar Thompson's highlights were in offensive transition situations. And I think this is to say for the Pistons team as a whole that if we have a young team like we do, we should focus on fast break points. But for Ausar to excel, we know that he struggles from the 3-point line, but as of late, he's been solid. But overall, he struggles from the 3-point line. He's been getting better at the mid-range game, but he's not great at playing within an offense. He's really good at passing within offense, set up, taking its time, using the 25-second shot clock. But Ausar Thompson's going to excel in transition offense. And if you talk about the threats that are around him on the Detroit Pistons right now, Jaden Ivey, Cade, Duren, these are just 3 guys that we know that can excel in transition. Jalen Duren is very fast for nearly being 7 foot. Jaden Ivey is uber athletic. And so I think that for Ausar to succeed, we need as a team, as an organization, to push the fast break as soon. And we know Jalen Duren's a good passer. So this holds up because as soon as Jalen Duren brings down that defensive rebound, I say outlet passes are booking it down court, and you see Duren just launch it down the court, get it around mid court. So it's not a huge pass. It's valuable. And that's where Ausar Thompson, Jaden get it at the midway court. And then that's where they do what we learned in elementary school, the 3-man weave, a very simple task that the Pistons excel at getting buckets in the paint. And you not necessarily do the exact 3-man weave, but something to that effect of pushing the ball down the court. That is where I see Ausar Thompson succeeding. And I think that's where I see the Pistons succeeding. There's no reason for the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Chicago Bulls to lead the league in offensive fast break points. The Pistons should be atop of that category because this team is built for that kind of play. And even Isaiah Stewart in transition, we've seen him excel when he's not cherry picked, but the first one down the court and he gets the ball like almost like a Hail Mary pass from Killian, and Isaiah Stewart's laying it in the basket because he's got a mismatch. That's where I see Ausar Thompson excelling because the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the film that we've watched and what we did watch this year's draft. And what made us fall in love with Ausar Thompson was his great passing and scoring in the fast break. Ryan, what are some of your thoughts on one of my key to success on Ausar?
It's not terrible. You look back at the last 5 games, he's had only 2 turnovers. He's rarely turned the ball over at all, which is fantastic for him. And just his play overall in this season, he's turned the ball over a lot. Fast break, he seems to be much better in that situation, in that position with the Pistons than in most situations when he's just facilitating the ball in an offense. He seems to have the little knack to have the self-awareness, like, oh, I got to get the ball there because that's going to set them up to maybe me rolling in there, having the layup, finishing around the rim, or maybe not. Maybe I kick that out to the corner, hits the 3. There you go. There's the transition offense there. He has a knack for it. He knows how to do certain situations with that. And so I think he can excel in this situation. But then there's other situations where it may not be a fast break offense that happens right away, because there's teams like the Boston Celtics that can get up and down the court with ease. They have the speed to do it. You have the Chicago Bulls, even though they're leading the league in points scored on fast breaks, they do have the speed to get up on get back and defend. So there's certain situations where I think Ausar can have a lot of success with this. But then there's others where we've seen the history of what he's done thus far this season for us. And out transition offense or not, he's had a knack for turning the ball over. We saw this against the Bucks the other night. There was a situation where it was a fast break. We could have gotten the ball up. He makes this weird pass at the wrong time, wrong angle, and Jaden Ivey has to cut back to try and get the ball, and then boom, turnover, going down the opposite way for the Bucks. I really think it comes to comfortability, right? He has to be comfortable within the offense or even within the team to have success. And the transition offense, I think that he can excel in that, but he also has to be comfortable. And there's moments where it seems like he isn't comfortable at all, and he looks like a chicken with its head cut off. And then there's moments where it's like, wow, Ausar Thompson is literally a stud right before my eyes. So it really I think it depends on who our matchup is, and then what guys are out there in terms of having Ausar Thompson be the most comfortable he can be in order to have success in that realm.
Well, and what you would hope for with a transition offense based team is you would hope that would slow down Ausar Thompson's tendency to throw turnovers, because it simplifies the offense a little bit. It does get a team riled up as far as energy, so it could cause mistakes when you're rushing down the court. But you would hope that this transition offense gets you into situations where it's a 3-2 beat, where we have 3 Pistons guys down the court. There's only 2 defenders there. So you hope to have those 3-2 matchups, those 2-1 matchups, maybe 4-3, 4-2, whatever it might be. So hopefully that would simplify Ausar Thompson's offensive task. Now, to talk about another way I see possibly Ausar Thompson succeeding, and none of these things I'm coming up with, obviously, I'm not reinventing the wheel. These aren't things that are complex. These are getting back to the basics, because I think sometimes coaching staffs in the NBA try to overcomplicate things, and then you forget those little things that are so crucial for winning basketball. But this next thing I want to talk about with Ausar Thompson is we see a lot with this Pistons offense, where now that Stewart's back from injury, say Cade or Alec or Jaden is bringing up the ball, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, or you can flip flop any guys out of there, are meeting our point guards at the top of the key, top of the 3-point line, and they're doing these back-to-back screens or a screen, and then the point guard brings it back the other way and they're met with another screen from Stewart, for example. When all of that mumbo jumbo is happening, because obviously Monty Williams loves to have that in the game plan, typically when we see those screens going down, the two wings on each end of the 3-point line are standing there. We saw it a lot with Isaiah Livers, and that might be a reason he's gone. So what I say happens when they're working through that back-to-back screen play right at the start of our offense, cut to the basket, man. Everyone's distracted, keeping track of, okay, the defenders are distracted with, okay, do I need to switch switch guys? What do I got to do here? Their eyes are all drawn to that pick and roll scheme. Well, that means there are certain lanes, baseline or the elbow lane, that could possibly lead to lead passes from Cade or Killian, where, okay, maybe the screens aren't working for them. They're not able to jump off the screen because it's a good screen or whatever it might be. That's when Killian or Cade throws that laser pass and gets Thompson on the go down and gets that layup, whether it's a tough layup or an and one or an easy lay-in. I'm not sure what, the scenario will be, but it should lead to something. So I guess what I'm saying is I want to see Ausar Thompson offensively move with more of a purpose. We know this guy can run for days. Let's utilize that. And we know he's uber athletic. Who knows what he can do with those lanes? He needs to watch some Richard Hamilton film because that's what he was brilliant at. He utilized the 3-point line for that. But Ausar Thompson, I think, can utilize getting layups right at the basket with simply just cutting in opportune times and thinking about where can I move to set me up for some points and set Cade up and Killian with some easy assists. I think that's what he needs to think is, how can I get to the basket to be an asset for my point guards?
Yeah, I think what he excels at the most, though, is broken plays. When it doesn't go our way, he always is either getting the rebound or doing something to benefit the team. We've seen that time and time again. We saw that against the Bucks the last night out there. Saw that against the Wizards last time we played them. He was not only was he filling the lanes like you were mentioning, but there's certain times where the play would just completely break down, and then there's Ausar getting the rebound and with the putback, and that's what I think makes him great, is the fact that he recognizes all these little things in opportune moments to make a play happen right out of thin air. He excels in these breakdowns where you have Jaden Ivey pulling from the top of the key without even setting up an offense. And all of a sudden, boom, there's Ausar Thompson with the putback dunk, and we're going the other way on defense. He excels in breakdowns. And that's why I think there's not one specific way you can really look at it in terms of, okay, Ausar Thompson, you're going to have success that way, or you're going to have success that way. I think there's too many ways that he can have success because he's a utility player. He doesn't need to go out there and give you 20 every night. He doesn't need to go out there and stuff the box sheet and give you 8 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He doesn't need to do anything really. He knows what he's capable of, but it's all about being comfortable. Like I mentioned earlier, if he can be comfortable, not only if the play doesn't break down, if he can be comfortable within an offense, that is going to help him in the long run, because we saw that against the Bucks. He hit 2 threes back to back in the corner, and most of the time when he's open like that, he's bricking those. And I'm not trying to be mean to him, but when you're shooting roughly 14 to 15% from 3, that is atrocious. I can shoot better than that, but that's not me. Okay, I'm not going to get into that nutshell, but the point is, like, we've seen what he can do beyond the 3 prior to the last couple games out there. He's been more efficient from 3. He's excelling in that category as of lately, which is good because that opens up a whole new Pandora's box of abilities that he can unlock. And then on top of that, he knows how to move within the offense, like you mentioned. And I really think what it breaks down to is how can we put him in situations to have the most success, but also be comfortable? Because there's times, and I'm just gonna say it. I think he works best off the bench. I don't think, as at least this season, first year in the league, have him come off the bench the rest of the year. I'm fine with that because we saw him and he started 24 games. In 24 games starting, he is 48% from the field, 15% from three, and then 69% at the line, which isn't bad. But he's just that too off the bench. He's just as efficient. And then on top of that, I will say this: in every game except for 2 games that he started in, he has turned the ball over. In 11 games off the bench, out of 19 games total, he has not turned the ball over. So he's actually more efficient and more effective within an offense coming off the bench than starting. And that has to do in part because of Monty recognizing in certain situations like, ooh, how can I make this rotation better? Ausar, you're going out there. I need defense, but I also need a little bit more offense from you. Go do that. And he's been excelling time and time again. And like you mentioned, he fills the lanes. That's what he's doing. He gets the rebound after a broken play and creates an instant offense. You have situations where Danilo Gallinari is passing it to him on the corner off a drive to the basket, and you're going like, oh, why is Ausar going to shoot that? I don't want him to shoot that. And then he makes it. Right. We're seeing Ausar Thompson grow in all these aspects prior and after the recent trade, but then also like he's getting all this growth and development coming off the bench. And because of that, it's kind of in a nutshell of, I know I can work my tail off to start in this league. I know I'm good enough to do that, but I need to work my way up to that. Kind of like Marcus Sasser. Marcus Sasser, last couple nights, has been getting increased minutes time and time again, and that's because he's taking advantage of opportune moments. Ausar Thompson has been taking advantage of opportune moments, but he needs to continue to do that because I think there's not one aspect that he can really excel at. He can excel at everything. So him coming off the bench, I really see him having the most success.
Yeah, and I agree because also when he's coming off the bench, there's more vets coming off the Pistons bench. So it kind of slows down the game for him, especially when he's playing against other backups, but also with having vets, especially with the recent trade of Mike Muscala and Danilo, that he's got Alec Burks, he's got Killian, that's got some years under his belt now. Gallinari, Muscala. He's surrounded by guys that have been playing for a while and know how to set him up and slow down the game for him. And I think that's going to be absolutely crucial for Ausar because I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of slowed him down in this first 50 games with him is the game's just still really fast to him. The NBA is hard to get used to when it's just so quick up and down the court, and every move is a little bit snappier than levels prior that he's gone through in high school and then overtime elite league. But I also like your point about the when plays break down offensively, Ausar Thompson is there to make ends meet because that shows how his play leads to winning basketball. It hasn't translated yet, but I believe one day it will because every team kind of needs that garbage cleanup guy. And we kind of have 2 of them with Duren and him because every team that competes at a high level, look at White on the Celtics. What's his first name? Derek White on the Celtics. He's kind of that for the Celtics. When everything breaks down and the offense is stagnant and Tatum's on the bench, Derek White kind of helps make ends meet for that offense. And I think Ausar Thompson can kind of be like that, get big offensive rebounds here and there and catch those arid passes, save the ball that's going out of bounds, or get big time offensive rebound, put back dunks. I think he can be that for the Pistons. I just want him to slowly start showing us that he can work within an offense. That's why I give the things of cutting and maybe setting screens here and there, getting back quick on offensive transition, just because I don't think he's shown me yet that he can work within an offense. I think He's great at picking up those breakdown offensive plays, but I want him to show me that he can play alongside eventually starters and help facilitate and help make things work within an offense. Because I'm just worried that he's going to turn into an only defensive player like Stanley Johnson did. And Stanley has only just kind of been a journeyman. And I don't want that for Ausar. I think he's more than that. But I think Monty Williams and the coaching staff kind of have to coerce him a little bit. That will do it for episode number 14 of season 2. We talked about the keys to success for Ausar Thompson, cutting on offense, transition offense, taking care of the broken plays offensively for the Pistons. Those are 3 big things that Ausar Thompson does these regularly. He will be a great player in this league and for the Detroit Pistons. Before you guys leave, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.